Hey, what's up, guys? Kayak Mike here. We're gonna go right into it. So this video is a preview slash. I don't want to use the word study session anymore because that it sent the wrong message to people last time. So it's a tournament preview. We're gonna go over some things, but first, the Not Marine National Trail is a kayak catfishing national trail. They have ponied up $1,000 to the point race winner at each one of these national events. There's 6 total. Points will be collected. Your 4 best scores count towards the overall points. And Not Marine, they are sponsoring the champion of that. So the champion of that, at minimum, will win $1,000. $20 of every entry of every tournament will go and add to that pot as well. So shout out to Not Marine for sponsoring the trail. Not Marine also sells Jackson kayaks. What you're looking at here is the Jackson Kayak Take 2. You can pick that up at Not Marine, but they carry all the other kayaks as well. The Kusa X, NAR, you pick that. Pick whatever you want. But the reason I had the Take 2 highlighted, this is my next kayak. So if you're down in Tennessee and if you want to demo a Take 2, just hit me up. I'll be down in Tennessee. I'll be fishing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at some point in time throughout that weekend. So if you want to demo a Take 2, let me know. I'm going to try and make this the ultimate kayak catfishing platform. Catfish Sumo, giant shout out to Dan. Dan is the person who is title sponsoring this event. He title sponsored the previous event on Nickajack. He's also title sponsoring this event, which is going to code OCT10 will get you 10% off of anything in his website. And he's a one-stop shop. Anything you need, you can get every single piece of tackle you need to fish from essentially any platform at his website. It's good stuff. I use it. I've been using it for over a year. He sponsors Kayak Catfish, who Kayak Catfish will be participating in this event, if I'm not mistaken. He was in our last one. But yeah, you got your Gollywhopper rod, which I've been using. I've been using Gollywhopper rod, the bump, just as well too. So his rods are heavier action than most rods. You have your slinky style weights. You have your stiffer style weights for dragging. This upcoming tournament, I believe, is going to be a good opportunity to drag. I'm not going to say it's the only way to fish, but I believe on Chickamauga there's going to be a lot of opportunities to drag. And also, our mandatory captain's meetings at the warehouse. So if you're lacking any gear the night before, or let's say you go down and pre-fish and lose a lot of gear and need to replace it for the tournament, we will be at his warehouse where you can purchase stuff right then and there before the tournament the night before. And last but not least, thank you, Monster Rod Holders. Thank you, Steve, for sponsoring our mystery fish. At the end of each tournament, we do a random drawing for legally submitted fish. I screwed that up last time. Brandon Hunter, I'm sorry. Brandon Hunter did get DQ because he did not come back to the ramp. He didn't win, so he didn't come back to the ramp. He just went home, which is fine. But when I forgot to take his fish off of the Monster Rod Holder mystery fish when we did the drawing. So he actually ended up not winning it. Mark Bennett won it. We had to redraw it. But at the end of every tournament, we do what's called a Monster Rod Holder mystery fish. Random number generator, closest to but not going under that number with a fish submitted wins $150. And that's for people who haven't cashed. This is another opportunity to win your money back. So if you submit one fish and you come back to the check-in location at the end of the tournament, you have an opportunity to win your money back. So completing the entire event will get you legal to potentially win that $150. And the Monster Rod Holders, he has all sorts of kayak accessories, a kayak track base. He has kayak rod holders down here, the Talon, etc. You don't have to use the kayak stuff. I'm on record saying, just because it says the word kayak doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing you can use. But these are great options for the kayak. If you want to use the big ones, I've seen the big ones in some of the kayaks too. Whatever you guys need. All right, moving on to the tournament preview. Haas, F1 team, thank you for not being so terrible this year so far. Let me. Oh, geez. I have this up on another stream. Everything's going good. Very good. The meeting, the night before, the mandatory meeting opens up at 6 p.m. The meeting's going to be held at 7 p.m. The warehouse is at 1700 Fowl Street, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 37407. This is what it looks like. He has a little fireplace going. You could park over here. You don't have to bring your kayaks. We're not doing a kayak check the night before. You could hook your kayak from wherever you're going and come down. This is the warehouse right here. In here is where we'll have the meeting and where we'll have pizza, food, drinks and that kind of stuff. What we're going to be doing at this meeting, let me pull up my checklist. So the mandatory meeting, guys, registration for the tournament cuts off at 7 p.m. the night before. I want to know everyone who's fishing by 7 p.m. the night before. If something happens, what's up, Daryl? If something happens, and for whatever reason you can't register by 7 p.m., try and shoot me a message relatively early. That way we can figure it out. If you get with me before deadlines, I can work with you. If you message me after deadlines, it's going to be a lot tougher. If you're a local and you realize that morning you can fish it, I'm not going to say I can guarantee I'll get you in, but I'm not going to say I won't let you in either. I'm trying to get everything done the night before and as prepped so everyone can just focus on fishing the day of, including myself. Um, I'll be doing a board check. I will be giving you your packet. You'll be getting your own identifier. So you have to bring your muskie bumper, and it has to be a muskie bumper to this. We'll do a captain's meeting. We'll go over boundaries, etc. We'll do essentially what we're doing in this live at that meeting as well, just to refresh everyone's memory. Again, there's going to be food provided, drinks provided. It's a great atmosphere. It's also a meet and greet. If anybody wants to come down, to meet Kayak Catfish, meet Ryan Bortz, meet myself, meet anyone who's there. What's up, Trophy Seeker Outdoors? To meet anyone who's there for the weekend, that's a great opportunity. And speaking of Trophy Seekers Outdoors, he is doing trophy. I'm so sorry, I forget the name of it. He's doing Ryan. Do you remember the name of his event?
The
Events.
Gathering.
The Gathering. He's doing the Gathering 2. I believe it's the second time he's done this. They'll have events Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So go check out Trophy Seeker Outdoors. If you want to double dip in more tournaments, go over because I'm competing in his tournament on Saturday. I'm personally sponsoring a $150 longest fish for his events for the entire weekend and ours. So if you catch the longest fish for the entire weekend, you have another $150 opportunity out there. So again, if you submit one fish to the leaderboard and it's the longest fish overall for the entire weekend between his events and my events, you win $150. Um, but that's the thing. If you go down and you don't just get the 150 if you have the longest fish over the weekend, it has to be either in one of his events or during my event. That's how we'll do the $150 for that. But moving on, so we got that.
And his
Uh,
event's actually at our check-in spot.
yes, so that's the next thing we're going to talk about is the check-in. The check-in location. So if for whatever reason you cannot make the mandatory meeting the night before, you can still check in the morning of. Check-in starts at 6 a.m. and it's the Chester Frost boat ramp. If you put in Chester Frost Park, it will bring you down here. Keep in mind the boat ramp is up here. If you're following along on this Google sheet, you will see check-in/out ramp, Chester Frost Park. This address will get you there better. It's a better address to use to get you directly to the ramp. And this link will also get you to the park as well. You have to, our rules for day of Sunday, it's 7 a.m. lines in, 3 p.m. lines out. You must be back at Chester Frost Park ramp by 4 p.m. All your fish must be submitted by 4 p.m. No exceptions. But back to if you cannot make the meeting the night before at 6 p.m., let me know ahead of time. If you have registered, let's say you're having car issues, because ironically, this past event, someone did have car issues on the way down. That's a reality. We have a gentleman coming up from Texas. That's a 14-hour drive. If he's on his way, let's say he just so happens to be on his way up on Saturday, the day of the meeting, and he can't make it, I'm not going to not let him fish the tournament. I'm not going to be that guy. I really want everyone there the night before so we can get all the admin stuff cleaned up. However, if you can't make it, we will work with you and we can do the check in the morning of starting at 6 a.m. This is a trailering event. These are Googleable boat launches that I have found. So if you go to the Excel spreadsheet I have on Google Drive, which I have made available to everybody, this is our check in and out ramp right here with the address and a link to get you directly to it. And then here's a bunch of these are all Googleable. This isn't anything special. I actually found a lot more launches than this, but these are the ones that are just Googleable that anyone can find. I don't feel like I'm doing anyone too many favors by doing this. Here's some general time frames. I looked at this today with no traffic. Keep in mind, these general time frames are no traffic. So if you go to the Blythe Ferry boat ramp, let's say Grasshopper Public boat ramp, let's say you go there and I said 49 minutes here, but it takes you an hour and a half to get back. That's on you. That's not on me. These are general time frames on how long it takes to get back to the checkout ramp at the end of the day. If you move to the right over here, let me go down here real quick. Lines in, event boundaries. This is important. Let me pull this up. This is the most important thing. Because, if you're out of the boundaries, and we will go over this again on the day or the night before the tournament at the meeting. Chickamauga boundaries. Come on, pull up. If my computer crashes now, I'm going to be so mad. I'm just opening a picture. Granted, I have 5 million things open. Okay. Here we go. Here are the Chickamauga boundaries. It's really simple. You have to be east of Route 27. Your stamp, where you submit your fish from, has to be east of Route 27 and west of Route 58. Upper boundary is Watts Bar Dam. Lower boundary is Chickamauga Dam. The Hissawissy River. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't remember what the name of this river right here. Let me. You see where this boat or this line is right here? This is the 58 bridge right here. This is another river that dumps into Chickamauga. You can fish up to this bridge, but if you are fishing the river on the right side or the east side of this bridge, that is illegal territory. You cannot fish there. Everything has to be west of 58 and east of Route 27. If you're between that and below Watts Bar and above Chickamauga, you're legal. These red lines are just general. These red lines are not going over exactly the roads that are the boundaries, but they're the general lines. And yeah, those are the boundaries. It's really simple. I'm going to repeat it one more time. West of Route 58, east of Route 27, below Watts Bar Dam, above Chickamauga Dam. Those are the boundaries. And here's the launch locations. We went over those. Available bait. So I went out and got my bait dealer's license. I believe Ryan's getting his or has his. Can't remember. And there's another gentleman who'll be selling bait at Catfish Sumo Warehouse that night. I'm going to ask everyone who's selling bait to only give about 10 skipjacks per person until everyone shows up for the meeting, and then make it a free-for-all. I don't want bait dealers showing up with 100 skipjacks or 150 skipjacks, and I don't want someone clearing them out just for a competitive advantage. If I find out that happens, we will no longer allow bait selling at the tournament check-in. Now, once everyone gets their fill, I think 10's fair. Once everyone gets their fill, if somebody wants to clear them out, fine. But I have heard stories, other directors have told me, like, having bait being sold at the tournament's a little dicey because you'll have someone get too aggressive and just wipe them out for a competitive advantage. I'm outlawing that. So if you show up first and you try and wipe that guy out, I'm just gonna tell the guy you're not allowed to sell more than 10 per person until everyone gets their fill, and then after that, sell as much as you want to everybody. I don't want anyone gaining an advantage just because they can afford to spend $500 on a bunch of skipjack and get there first. That's not I want the advantage to be your knowledge of the river, your education, your pre-fishing. That's where I want your advantage to be. I don't want your advantage to be just clearing the bait out. Because again, we have people coming up from like Texas. If they're running late, our number one fear in this whole scene is bait. A lot of guys, Ryan, for instance, won't fish if he doesn't have bait. He'll go throw his net for 3 to 5 hours, and if he doesn't have bait, he'll go home. So that's like our biggest concern. So again, bait dealers, when you're there, 10 max per person until every single person shows up and gets their fill. Then no holds bar for everybody else. Oh, awesome! Trophy Seeker Outdoors said we can sell bait down at his stuff too. So if you have bait and you want to sell it down there, feel free to sell it down there as well.
Anybody coming down to pre-fish, get a hold of me, because I'll be the only one down there with bait if I get it. The only way I'm gonna have it's if it's fresh, and I'll be down Wednesday morning to start catching bait. So if I get it and you come to pre-fish, hit me up. I'll take care of you.
Yep. Yes, you will. Oh, and by the way, what I just mentioned about only selling 10 per person, that's only at the meet and greet. That's only at Catfish Sumo Warehouse. If you want to sell stuff behind the scenes and buy stuff behind the scenes, have at it. Have a ball. Spend as much money as you want. I just mean at the actual meeting itself. So if Ryan hooks you up with 100 behind the scenes, that's on. I mean, that's between you two. I have nothing to do with that. I just want to make sure at Catfish Sumo's warehouse we don't have somebody coming and clearing everything out from everyone else.
And I'm not going to do that for anybody either. I mean, if you're there on Wednesday evening, I'll hook you up with 30, 40, 50 or whatever I can get for you. But I'm not just going to sell it all to one person just to keep everybody else from getting it either.
Yeah, exactly. Next is tactics possible in Chickamauga and areas to perform those tactics. So that's gonna feed into the study session, I guess you could say, we're about to do. If you move over, so here's all the launch locations. If you move over far to the right here on that spreadsheet, this is my estimated flow. The closer you are to the dam is the bottom. That's the closest to Watts Bar Dam. At the top is farthest away from Watts Bar Dam, closest to Chickamauga Dam. You're going to have the most flow closest to Watts. You're going to have the least flow far away from Watts. Depending on the flow, depends on what style of fishing you can do. Dragging is better for lower flow, in my opinion. I'm sure you can drag in higher flow, but dragging, for my opinion, is lower flow. Suspend drifting, low to medium flow, roughly. Bumping, you kind of need a little bit of flow. You need 1+ mile an hour to walk baits, at least. You need about 1.5 plus to actually do the act of bumping itself. And over here is general characteristics per Navionics. Again, this is per Navionics. From my experience down in Tennessee, Navionics is very accurate. It might not be pinpoint accurate to you locals. However, it's extremely accurate for someone like me coming down to fish it who's never fished it before. The holes are generally where they're supposed to be per Navionics. Ledges are generally there. Where channels meet is accurate. If you use Navionics on my Ohio River, it's a complete waste of time. It is a complete waste of time. So here are your general characteristics per Navionics. I just generally put some things over here. So if there are certain things that you're looking for, well, this is a good place to start. Again, you're responsible for knowing fish patterns, water temperature, flow, all that kind of fun stuff. There is a link for a 10-day forecast in Chattanooga right here. Boom, you can go to the 10-day forecast in Chattanooga right there. Also, if you move over to the right a little bit, release schedules. I have all the damn release schedules right here. Watts Bar, Chickamauga, Nickajack. I personally look at 3 different gauges every day where I live to know how my flow is going to be where I want to go fishing that weekend. I look at my Markland, my Meldal, and a BB Riverboats gauge. The BB Riverboat gauge is hit or miss, but I look at 3 gauges almost every single day and I can almost pinpoint what my flow is going to be like in anywhere on the river by looking at those gauges every single day. These gauges will give you the historical and a little bit of the future. Also, there's one more note over here. If anybody plans on bumping, Ryan and I have both bumped below Chickamauga and Nickajack. We both bump safely at these numbers, 26,000 and 30,000. Those are on the upper end of what you want to be doing in a kayak directly below those dams, but also safety is a must. I can't stress life jacket on at all times, period, in our in-person events. I know our month-long events have changed to state regulations, but these in-person events, I don't care if you're in the lake part or below the dam, life jacket on at all times, period, end of story in our events. Bumping, you need a faster current. Anchor suspended, you could do in faster current. I don't suggest hard anchoring in anything over 2 miles an hour. If you're not really experienced or if you haven't done that in the past, I wouldn't hard anchor in 2 miles an hour plus. Spot lock, you're pretty good up to about 2.5, 3 miles an hour. Suspend drift and dragging. Suspend drifting is good up to about 1.5 miles an hour, just depending on if you know what you're doing. You could do it faster. Like, don't get me wrong, you could do it faster. But generally speaking, 1.5, and you start cutting your speed to the current. And then dragging, I typically don't drag if the current's more than like 0.7, 1 mile to 1 mile an hour. But again, it depends on your experience, the dragging weights you're using, and all that kind of stuff. These are just general tips based on our experiences. So that goes into the study
Touch
session.
on weather there again just a minute, because I looked at the forecast earlier and it's showing some pretty rough storms down there. I think it was Thursday night
Let's see here.
and Sunday morning, maybe.
Let's see here.
I mean, it's just typical summertime stuff, but there is a chance of some pretty nasty storms, I think. So
Let's go over this. You are correct. So it's looking like, and every app's going to be different. Generally, they're close. We got a 10% chance of rain on Thursday. Friday, it looks like there's showers. The website I'm on doesn't have like the hour breakdown. My bad. And let's see here. Sunday, it's saying 58% showers. 5 to 10 mile an hour winds. That's not bad. Guys, if we end up having to cancel the event due to weather, I don't know if we'll have a makeup event. I do apologize. But I don't think the weather should play a factor this weekend. It looks like it might be uncomfortable, but it doesn't look like it'll be unsafe. I will always stray on the side of safety. Scioto River event, I put my foot down. It's a bank and kayak event. I put my foot down and told the guys no kayaks that weekend. Thank God. We unfortunately had an incident up in Ohio that identical weekend in that identical area where somebody unfortunately passed in a tournament that probably should have been canceled. But like before and after, I will always stray on the side of safety because at the end of the day, it's my butt on the line. I'm the one getting sued, nobody else. So, but I don't think it's not looking like we'll have anything really to cancel it. It just looks like it might be a little rain, a little wet. 10 miles an hour. If we don't have 10-mile-an-hour winds up here, we're not fishing. You know what I mean? Like we never not have at least 10. So 10 tops is not bad at all.
but if you are out there in a storm, if you do see the forecast and it says a storm may roll up, kind of stay close to wherever you're parked.
Yeah. Use common
it's
sense, guys.
But
Yeah, and make sure you have an app on your phone that shows a radar, not just a forecast, and like kind of learn how to read your radar. If you see clouds moving towards you and it's the color of a storm, like use common sense, guys. Anything else you got on that, Ryan? I think we can go into some Navionics studying if you don't have anything else.
no, I just wanted to touch on that because I saw it this morning and it kind of woke me up a little bit.
Yeah. But a little rain is good. That means we might get a little more flow. Ryan and I were talking before this went live, and we were like, man, we were looking at the charts the past few days, and we were like, geez, there might not be any flow whatsoever this weekend.
If you go back and look at all my videos and stuff that I did down there, like from last year, I was never down there in less than 20,000, and I've never seen it this low. So I don't really know what to expect. I kind of got a plan, but
yeah, he's got a plan. Like flow might be an issue, so that little bit of rain might actually play in favor to the anglers. All right, let's see here. We're gonna scroll back up. So down here, if you look over to the general characteristics, up by Watts Bar Dam. Oh, let me explain what I'm doing first. So somebody made a good when I originally posted this as a study session. It did come off as if we were going to go dam to dam and just circle every single hole and tell everyone where to fish, etc. That wasn't the point of it. What the study session was supposed to be was just grab a couple examples from that body of water, some things you might want to do, just to, just as general education. Um, but there is definitely a difference between teach a man to fish and give a man a fish, and we don't want to cross that line. Somebody sent me a message saying like, "Hey man, I know you're just giving examples, but what if that example is just coincidentally somewhere that I have fished before? You have my GPS coordinates. It's a bad look on you if even if it's purely by accident, it's a bad look on me if I go and like show someone specific hole. So I still want to do a little Navionics studying for people. But what we're gonna do from now on is we're just going to go to a reservoir or a river that's similar in characteristics, and we can accomplish the same exact studying without being on the exact body of water that we're competing on. This way, no one's at any kind of competitive advantage. Um, the only people I'm going to apologize to is if this is the river you fish and you just so happen to be watching. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. We don't compete here, so this is why I'm picking this. So, do you have anything to say to that, Ryan?
No,
Nope.
I'll help. If somebody messages me, I'm going to help them. You know what I mean? So if you message me and you've never been to the Tennessee River, I'm going to help you. I ain't going to give you my exact spots that I'm going to try, but I'll tell you what to look for.
And if you ask me for help on specifically where to fish, I'm going to tell you to watch this video or ask Ryan because I actually can't help. You know what I mean? I'm the director. That's something I can't do. Um, but let's pull this up here. Watts Bar Dam. So this is the William Bill Dannelly Reservoir. There's a lot of similar characteristics to this reservoir as there is to Watts Bar Dam. Not Watts Bar Dam, Chickamauga Lake. And what I mean is, so directly beneath Watts Bar Dam, it's narrower. It's typically what you would see, but directly beneath a dam. There's not a lot of depth. Navionics didn't really show anything more than 30 foot, and it's essentially one defined channel. Are there little holes and stuff that you can take advantage of? I'm sure, but it generally looks like this for quite some time. You'll have back creeks come in occasionally, but it generally looks like this for quite some time. Let me come in a little closer so you can see. I'll go back out to where I started. So below the dam generally looks like this for quite some time. It's just one defined channel. You have your channel ledges, and it's narrow and just straight for quite a bit. So if you're looking to fish something like that below Watts Bar Dam with heavier flow, that's a good place for you to look into. Do you have any comments on that, Ryan, on being
No,
below Watts Bar?
I don't look for that to have heavy flow, but
Oh, you don't think it'll? So I think it might have. Well, directly beneath any dam is going to have decent flow. Now, there's no promise it's going to have it more than a quarter mile away, but directly below, for sure, will have the heaviest flow available on that body of water at that time. That's actually a better way to put it. Someone's spot is pure coincidental. If anything, they shouldn't say that's their spot because, I mean, that's fair. That's fair to want to be outdoors. I'm just trying to appease both crowds. There's new school way of thinking and an old school way of thinking. I explained this to somebody today. All tournament directors want their sport to grow. Sports all have coaches. You're not going to send your kid to a terrible coach. What if your coach of your kid was like, that's a secret, I'm not going to tell you. That's a secret, I'm not going to tell you. You would never let that coach your kids. Well, tournament directors want good coaches. Tournament directors want their sport to grow. I want the sport to grow. So we have to have good coaches. We have to have good education out there. Fishing's the only sport where some people are dead set on don't teach anyone anything. The way I grew up fishing, I learned everything on my own, etc. Well, at some point in time, every sport was like that. Baseball was like that at some point in time. Football was like that at some point in time. But they are all evolved way in front of us. Fishing's a sport. Tournaments are a sport. Directors need good coaches. Good coaches need to, amplify the sport. So, but I also don't believe in just feeding people stuff either. You can't go swing the bat for the kid as a coach either. So I don't mind showing you guys some general things. You still have to learn patterns and that kind of stuff on your own. I can't take you pre-fishing. You have to do the pre-fishing. I'm not going to take you down Navionics. You have to do the Navionics. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm trying to be in the middle of both, being a good coach without just handing you, without going up to the bat and just swinging the bat for you. All right. Do you have any opinions on that topic, Ryan?
I'll make people mad. I don't care, but I'm not running the thing either. So I don't care if I make people mad.
That's funny. Um, on the spreadsheet, you'll see some places it says launches with multiple back creek options. So what I mean is, like, hypothetically speaking, let's say there was a launch here. Well, in theory, you got back creek here, back creek over here, another back creek right here. In a kayak, these are all accessible. Considering the flow that day, these are all accessible. So on the notes, if you see, narrow, multiple accessible back creeks, essentially one main channel there, not much in way of holes. Navionics isn't given a lot of holes. So if you like to fish holes, might not be the place you want to go. Now, am I saying they're not there? No, but I'm just saying, might not be the place you want to go. So an example, this launch, it says the river's starting to open up. So let's go over here. I know this river starts to open up somewhere. It might look like this. So the river's starting to open up, get a little wider. The back creeks are getting a little bigger. There's more flats, defined flats that you can fish. It's wider. Places like this where it starts to open up really wide, your flow is just naturally going to get a little slower, and it's going to be much. So like right here, this is a giant flat over. I can essentially guarantee there's no flow in this whatsoever. If you want to go drag flats, this would be a good opportunity. Also, things like this where you see here, this white right here looks like a giant hole. So if you want to drag a flat, and again, in a kayak, we're always looking for the most efficient way to fish and as many ways, especially in tournaments, as many ways to fish as possible. So if dragging a flat ain't working, well, hell, you got a hole right here. You can jump out and fish the hole. You can walk a bait in this hole if there's enough current. You can go to the top of the hole. It looks like you have almost two holes here. You can go to the top of this hole, anchor, cast them in. Maybe you can work the middle of it. There's defined channel ledges. So in theory, if there was a launch right here, let's say there's a launch right here, you have a lot of options within 2 miles of that launch. I personally don't like putting all my eggs in one basket. I don't like saying I'm going to anchor down in one spot for 8 hours. If it wins, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't work. I don't like on a tournament. I don't like doing that. I like to make sure I have options. If doing something for 2 hours doesn't work, I want to be able to switch to something else. Any comments on that, Ryan?
I can guarantee you, if you find a spot that looks like that somewhere on Chickamauga, there'll be fish in it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean that's a guaranteed. Somewhere on that map, if you find that same thing, you'll catch fish.
Yes, and it's a matter of you finding them. In this case, it's not a matter of them. It's not a matter of them being there. It's a matter of you finding them. They're going to be here somewhere with 100% without a doubt. Let's see here. Anything else that we can really hit on? There's a couple places that open up really wide. It's not this excessive, but there are a couple places on Chickamauga that open up really wide. Like the Hisawasi River or whatever that river is right there next to it is a good example of you can break off. And from what I was told, there's not a lot of flow in there, but I was also told the water temps might be a little colder, so the fishing isn't always as good. It breaks off. It's a little wider. Again, these are great examples of, back creek right here. It's claiming it's shallower, main channel. Where I said the channel split. Let's see if there's a channel split. Let's see here. There's a few places in there I say there's a channel split. I'm trying to find one. I don't actually see a channel split on here. Well, what I mean by that is you see how there's a defined ledge. Well, sometimes, especially after an island, this happens after islands a lot. There'll be two channels that come together. It'll be a defined ledge coming in, and then it'll then make one channel. Those points are also really good places to fish. This reservoir, I think the only thing it doesn't have that I have on that spreadsheet is a defined channel split or where to. This is kind of what I'm saying. So you see how there's this is clearly a little channel of its own coming into the main channel. But normally what I mean by a defined split in the channel where they come together, this would be this would be a lot deeper. And then this ledge right here would be excessively deeper. This ledge right here would be excessively deeper. That's what I mean. And those points tend to be really good places to fish as well. So this is a great place to start. This doesn't hand you anything. I would like it if anyone who look at this. This is great. So like let's say this was a launch. Look at this. Defined channel edge, outside bend, hole. If you finding things like this is great. Look, here's another defined channel that comes and connects the two. could be a place that they just rest to get out of the current if the current's high that day. So these are the types of things you want to look for when you're doing your pre-fishing or your pre-studying on Navionics. So do you have anything to add to that, Ryan?
No, I wish I could find that place right there.
Well, no, it's not on. No, it's not on. I'll tell you what river it's on. This is the William Bill Dannelly Reservoir. I actually don't even know if it has blue cats. I think it's in Alabama. I'm not sure. It might just be an extension. Honestly, it might just be an extension of the Tennessee River. But yeah, this is a sweet place to fish because you got a flat up here you could drag. You got a hard defined channel edge, hole after hole after hole after hole. I mean, this is like words I can't say it. We're live. But yeah, this would be an ideal spot to fish. So, but yeah, does anyone? I'm looking at the chat. They have been using the flow between 9 a.m. till 1 the past 7 days. Okay. Upping the flow. Okay. So Trophy Seeker, though, that's good news. They said they've been upping the flow between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. That's great news. I hope they continue with that pattern because that's essentially when we're fishing. Our tournament starts at 7 a.m., lines out at 3 p.m. Remember, you have to return to Chester Frost Park by 4 p.m. for you to be legal in the tournament, to be eligible for any prizes, awards, etc. Points, also your points. Points are important. Your best 4 events will go towards your overall point championships. So even if you only catch 1 fish or whatever, or don't catch a fish at all, if you don't show up at the end, you only get the 50 points for registering. If you submit a fish, you're going to place. You're going to get more than 50 points. Otherwise, you're only going to get 50 points for registering if you don't come back to the check-in afterwards. And another reason I'm removing the morning check-in, it's really not necessary. We did the meet and greet, and then we did the morning check-in, and then we all checked in afterwards. It resulted in a lot of tired driving after the tournament, myself included. And I realized everything I did that morning, I easily could have just taken care of that night before. Once the mandatory meeting's over, it'll be about 7:30, 8 p.m. It's getting darker anyway at that point in time. So even if you go and fish after that, and with the identifier I gave you, it's going to be very obvious if you're fishing in the dark. So, you know what I mean? Plus, then you got, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Then your timestamps, you would have to be like a genius to figure out how to work that system. So I'm not worried about that. So we're getting rid of the morning check-in. Anything else to add, Ryan?
No, that's about it.
That's about it. I'm trying to look over at my checklist. I don't think we missed anything. We hit everything. Yeah. I think this is a great start. Again, you're responsible for finding the fish and patterning the fish. And again, this is just a general guide to help people out that may not be able to, do as much pre-fishing or go down as much as, others who want to still compete in the National Trail kayak catfishing. So I hope you win it all, whoever that is. It says Facebook user. I don't see him. Let's see. I've been really concerned on how little flow is going to be. I see you, John. In that case, I think, honestly, John, I think, hey, what's up, Big Mike? Yeah, Big Mike is our other bait supplier as well. Yeah, I'm a little concerned on how low the flow is going to be as well, but that just opens opportunities to drag. Or some people like finding spots to anchor down on holes. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a lot of anglers starting to anchor down on holes during this, because I've been seeing a lot of flatheads being caught. So great way to catch a flathead is to find him where he's living. All right, I don't think there's much more I can add.
I'm either way on the flow. I mean, I want the flow, but at the same time, my specialty thing is dragging. So if I can go down there and drag, I'm happy.
Yeah. Oh, it's Big Mike. Oh, Mike Greenwell, a great guy. Mike Greenwell and I have a $2 bet going on this year for who's going to catch the biggest fish bumping out of the Ohio River. So
I lost. Let me in on that.
Well, you bump the falls all the time, which ironically that's where I'm going to try and be going. So yeah, $2 bet. I lost the $1 bet last year. Hopefully I can win. He has a big lead. I think he has a 40 or 50 pound fish bumping so far this year.
Give me $1 of it and I'll show you around the falls, show you how to beat it.
I gotcha. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Ohio River, but it has to be like our region, because I think he got his out of the Green River. John, I think you could bump, but I think your only option is going to be Watts Bar. If you want to bump pre-fishing, Chickamauga, you could still do Chickamauga, but that's kind of it's kind of wasting pre-fishing because that's not legal waters anymore. Chickamauga Dam, that is, below it. But yeah, bumping, I think your only option is going to be below Watts Bar. I think so. Hey, what's up, Freddy's?
And at
Freddy's,
6,000, you're going to have to sit right in the hydros.
yeah,
I also got word that you may have to fight with the striper guys up at Watts Bar Dam because that's where they like to go, is right in the hydros up there.
that makes sense.
So it may be a little bit crowded up there. I don't know. I'll
That,
let you
that
know Wednesday morning.
yeah, that could potentially be it. If I were to bump Watts Bar and it was low flow, whenever I have low flow and I can't get a consistent bump going for more than like 100 yards, I just walk baits at that point. Um, but that's just me. It may or may not work for everybody. I've had a lot of success doing it, which is why I do it. But yeah, I love walking baits. Plus, another thing that's nice about walking baits, it allows you to put more rods out without being too dangerous. Like, so I can suspend a rod and walk a bait and not really worry about it. The only catch is if I get a fish on the one that I'm walking, I have to reel up the suspended bait a little to come off a spot lock to chase that fish. Do you ever suspend baits when you walk or bump?
I do, but it's like 5 feet off the bottom.
Way off the
Yeah.
bottom. Yeah, guys, if you're gonna suspend a bait and bump or walk baits, make sure you're plenty high off the bottom, please, because our line can tip a kayak. Like the gear we use could tip a kayak, and if you're fighting a fish and you're going down the river and you get hung, you just put yourself in a very uncomfortable predicament, depending on where your rod holder is. So, yeah, if you're going to suspend a bait while you're bumping or walking baits, do it smartly. Remember, we're in kayaks, we're not in boats. Our gear could flip a kayak. If you put your rod in the I almost did last time I was under Nickajack Dam. I was bumping and my suspended bait got hung and it was directly on the opposite side of the flow and I had to just ditch the rod in the reel because it was going to flip the kayak if I didn't.
Looser drags help in that situation. I mean, that's
Yes,
just something I do.
that's a good idea too. You guys need a podcast. This is our podcast actually.
This
Yeah,
is a podcast.
this is the podcast actually. We've been told that a few times, but podcasting would be like YouTubing me. I'm not consistent enough, so therefore I would never be successful. I don't know if I put a video out on YouTube since like January. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm the worst YouTuber ever.
Yeah, I can't remember. I just kind of stopped, for whatever reason. I have a bunch of content. I just haven't really put videos up. So, any more questions for anyone who's out there? Straight to the dam is what I'm thinking. And yep, Watts Bar. And last but not least, real quick, we were just talking about the launch locations and going to the dam. Again, these are general. I should probably share my screen. That would help. Again, if you look at this, if you're going to use this as a guide to get to boat ramps, this is our check-in ramp for afterwards, and this is the general time frame. I pulled all of these time frames, and these were the fastest times that Google Maps showed me with no traffic. So remember, if you go to Watts Bar Dam, you're driving 60. You're driving an hour away. So you got to keep that in mind. Not having a morning check-in will allow the anglers to get a little more sleep, which safety's number one concern for me as well. A well-rested angler is going to perform much better and be at the top of his game.
Wow, I would be a lot better than I am if I'd take naps when I go on these trips.
Yeah. But remember, keep this in mind. And again, these are general time frames. You are responsible for getting back before 4 p.m. If you go somewhere that I'm claiming is a half hour away and it takes you an hour to get back, that is not on me. These are just general time frames. This is just like a helpful sheet. So,
and Chattanooga traffic is stupid almost all day, every day.
Yeah. So I think we're good. That went really well. Covered a lot. I can't wait to see everybody this weekend. Thank you so much, Dan, for sponsoring this. I'm forever grateful for that. Thank you for sponsoring this. Thank you, Not Marine, for doing the National Trail, being the name of the trail. And yeah, best luck, anglers. Ryan, do you have anyone you want to plug before we get on out of here?
No, just look forward to seeing everybody down there.
Yep, me too. All right, guys, you guys take it easy. Kayak Mike out of here.